Today we're taking a look at a few ways to make DIY lens filters. Welcome to FilmRiot, the show that takes mystery out of the effects and techniques going to some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and lens filters are often a must-have, but often very, very expensive. Some don't have good workarounds. You really have to spend the money to get good stuff like ND filters. For me, I do really want a camera that has ND filters built in, but when it doesn't, it's just the worst. But when you're shooting outside with a camera that doesn't have it built in, you absolutely need it to properly control your exposure. Then you have a circular polarizer, another must-have when shooting outside. Pop it on your lens and give it a spin to adjust the color of your sky or even grass. And if you're trying to shoot through glass, like into a car, give the sky a turn and you now have Superman vision. Then you have one of my favorite filters, the Black Pro Mist. This one just gives a slight glow and lessens the contrast to the image, almost as if there were a little bit of haze in the room. But this is one that you could definitely find some DIY alternatives for. For instance, in an older episode, we showed how using some stockings on the lens would give you a similar effect. We tried them on the front of the lens, on the back, and different types. Some of the more fishnet style stockings gave me a closer look to the Black Pro Mist, but all of them had unique and interesting effects. But now let's jump into some cheap and or free DIY ideas to get interesting effects right in camera. First, most of us do have gels for our lights floating around, so try grabbing one of these and tossing them in front of your lens. Of course, to make this and a lot of the others that we're going to show work, you'll have to have decently shallow depth of field. If you're very close down, you're gonna start to see the seams. But first you can do things like tossing a light blue gel in front of our lens, or make it more interesting by just moving a bit of that gel in front of the lens just to get a slightly odd effect. Or any other color you want, like a red gel. Just dip it slightly into frame to get a very interesting gradient that plays with the lights in the scene in a very organic way that you can't easily get by trying to replicate that in post. Now if you want to go crazy and invest some hardcore dollars, like $8, I got this UV filter from the Amazons of the .com for just about $8, which does what it sounds like. It blocks UV light, but the effect isn't very apparent, so you can use it almost as clear glass in front of your lens. So now we can add weird stuff to the front of the lens without damaging it, like Vaseline, which as it turns out is not just for rubbing on your employees. Basically, all we're doing here is smudging and blurring the image wherever we put the Vaseline. So we could add just a small amount to the side of the filter to get that smudge sort of gradient, or in a circle around the center to give a vignette of smudgy, blurry goodness, or add a light layer of it onto your entire lens. Whatever you're looking for, the world is your lobster.
It's oyster.
I'll murder you in your sleep.
What?
With the Vaseline spread all over the filter, you get this great dreamlike look. Sort of reminds me of moments in Minority Report. Very stylized and very cool. Of course, you could keep wiping it away or adding more to dial in the look you want, or change the direction of where you wipe the filter. Left to right will give you horizontal type flares, up and down will give you vertical. It's just a really simple way to get some interesting looks. Now we have two more that we're gonna look at, but first let's add some dollars to my Hire a Hitman to Kill Josh fund.
Again, what?
Oh, nope. Bob, we're not doing this again. Nope. How are you doing this, Bob? Josh! Bob's doing it again. No! 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 No!
Justin! Justin, what are you? Justin, what are you doing,
He's
dude?
moving.
No, stop!
He's
Bob didn't do anything! Justin, stop!
If you're a budding filmmaker, entrepreneur, innovator, domain.com is the place to go when that next great idea hits you. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you're taking the first step in creating an identity and vision for your brand or idea. The world's top two premier and most recognized domain extensions are .com and .net, which means those are the ones that are going to help you build your brand and expand your presence online the best. Of course, domain.com is reliable, affordable, and easy to use, but they're also giving you some loving by giving you 25% off their already affordable prices. When you get domain names, web hosting, and email, just use that coupon code FilmRiot at domain.com. Checkout, and when you think domain names, think domain.com.
Logo.
And we're back. Next up is a highlighter. Yes, a highlighter. Take the color of your choice. We went with a reddish color and color in half of your filter. You'll get the best effect with this in a more well-lit scene, but what you get is a really trippy style to your shot that could be perfect for flashbacks, jumping into someone's memory, or a credit sequence, and so on. It has a sort of off but interesting look to it, which of course you could do with any color you wanted. You could also just leave a small slit in the middle of the filter and color in everything else for an even more intense version of this. Could work really well for close-ups, or maybe rotate and look down a hall. You could create a custom version to fit any shot perfectly. last effect is custom bokeh, which is when you create shapes out of the out of focus points in your scene, like so, a heart, or a star, or whatever else you can think of. Alex Bueno used this somewhat recently for the opening credits of SNL, and it's super easy to do. To make this, you're gonna need dark construction paper, something sharp like an X-Acto knife, scissors, pen or pencil, a fast lens like 1.5 fast man, and the lens cap for your lens. Got all those things? Good.
Good job.
With all your goodies, place the lens cap over the paper, draw a circle around the lens cap, then cut out the circle you just created with the X-Acto knife. Once you have the circle, draw a smiley face, pretend it's Josh, and cut it in half with the scissors. Realize you overreacted, repeat the first 2 steps, and then draw the shape you want in the middle of the circle. Next, we'll cut that shape out with the X-Acto knife, trying to make the shape decently small. If you make the shapes too big, the mistakes that you make when cutting it become more prominent in the bokeh shapes, and it just doesn't work as well overall. After that, make small cuts around the edges of the circle so that the paper can grip onto your lens. If that doesn't work, you could always just use tape. But now with it secured to your lens, point your camera and throw that shit out of focus. Boom. Custom shaped bokeh ball sacks.
Again, what?
Shapes.
Not what you said.
Logo.
And that's it, a handful of ways to add unique looks to your project without spending more than the price of a Starbucks coffee. But before we go, in case you haven't heard of it, there's a solid and free online event called Cine Summit. It's basically a bunch of these live hour-long sessions from 8 incredibly talented pro cinematographers. It looks pretty amazing. You can find out all the details in the links below, so make sure you check that out since again, it's free and coming April 4th and 5th. But that's it for today, and I'll see you next week when the incorrect spelling of citizens gives Matt Damon away.